Hey, so welcome back to the bank holiday Saturday, April, I think it was the 4th. Um, and this is the flow from the 8:30 a.m. class. Um, I I've been wanting to do this kind of production now for a while, where I just take the practice that we in, did together and just make it available for you to have a look at later in case there was something you wanted to remember or something you wanted to try again or I don't know. It grew out of a couple of really fun Saturdays that we had in February and March. And it's just taken me forever to figure out how to capture the footage and do the video editing and all the things that you see here. Um, Currently, uh, my I'm as you hear me now, I'm planning just to do voiceovers here to both talk about the practice and talk about things that come up that don't fit in the context of the 60 minutes that we have with each other because we do have a certain focus on the physical aspect of the practice. Um, that may be less than useful from the point of view of using the videos as a learning tool. If you would like me to actually do breakdown or work with the actual mechanics involved, leave a comment. I'm experimenting. I don't know what this even is. This is literally footage of the practice from the 8:30 a.m. class. Um, I'll just say that since I'm using the studio, recording live while I'm practicing and explaining kind of the physical activations is probably not something that's going to work terribly well. As you can hear, even in the background, when the heating kicks in, it produces a lot of noise, and the camera microphones get overwhelmed by the noise. So, yeah, so this is a little bit of an experiment. Hopefully, just a way to, I don't know, jog memories um, and have a little more expansive space concerning yoga. Now, I'll also say that, again, because of the way that I'm presenting this material, I'm tired. All right, when I look at my body as I work through this, I remember how tired I was. Saturday is a long day for me, and while I really enjoy it, um, after a number of hours of doing this stuff in the heat, your batteries get run down a little bit. Um, so this is not maybe the best guide to the best shape. What this is, particularly in this case, is a flow practice. I am taking the elements that we worked with back on the day, and I'm literally using them um, as a vehicle to just be present with myself, with the material, with the experience of the day. Okay, I'm not really fussing about technique, um, and I'm not really um, doing much else. Okay, um, muttering to cameras, as you just heard. Uh, this is in line with the general ethos of a flow practice, which this was actually on Sunday, in that when we're practicing flow, we're working in more in the realm of the mental aspects of yoga practice. And to be completely clear, yoga practice actually has the mind as its primary focus. We are accessing the mind through the body. There's a fundamental tantric principle, that everything we experience through the body. So the work that we do with the physical body here is at least 50%, more like 80% meant for its effect on the overall mind. I will talk about this more in later videos. We talk about things like the energy body and other sort of more esoteric concepts. But it's important to remember that we access these things through our physical experience. So, in attempting to be present with the physical experience moment to moment in a state of flow, right? This is how we begin to understand that our mind is part of this bound up, wound up, physical, sweating, tiring, energetic location. I don't know. I run out of words sometimes when I'm talking about these things. It's amazing to have a body. It's amazing to have a chance to practice together with you all. And I just I really enjoy it. Okay. In the middle of all of that, we find ourselves in this kind of even more expansive space of how we practice together. And this brings us to another aspect of flow practice, and why in a flow practice I'm not quite so fussed about technique. And that's because we're dealing with this distinction between the individual self and the larger context of the group practice. So usually when I teach a flow practice, it will be a little bit less complicated physically. Now, you saw earlier, a rainbow shape. Okay, that can be a little confusing sometimes. Right now, I'm coming into a very deep squat. That can be physically challenging. In a flow practice, it is an implicit part of the practice that you find a way to work with your physical vehicle, your physical being, your physical presence, in a way that suits it, right? So when I come into this as a facilitator, because with flow it's more facilitating than it is actual teaching, my intention is to provide kind of a roadmap of shapes. And that roadmap is based upon my experience of my own practice as I work with the flows and the ways that I feel in the different shapes, how that affects my mind, the places it takes me to, and how that interacts with the moment that we have as we practice together. Obviously, that's different for everybody. And that's kind of where there's something a little bit magical happens as we gather together. In this mixture of different bodies and different abilities and different choices, we still somehow end up kind of all in the same place. And that speaks a lot to how we are maybe more the same than we are different. as a teacher, I do reserve my rights to argue both sides of that argument. But in any case, the practice of yoga asana arises out of teachers and practitioners basically comparing notes for the last 1,000 years or more, um, and kind of just remembering how these things fit together, how the mind works in the different circumstances, and how we can find ourselves in the middle of the practice. And as we're coming into the very end of this little flow here, I think that's where I kind of want to leave this little satsang, this little Dharma talk. You know, we do the practice for the physical benefit because it helps, but we also do it for the sense of presence which we cultivate. Thank you for spending these last few minutes with me once again in review.